To say not all that you heard yesterday from my niece is true. I don't want to hinder this legal process, I don't, but to testify that I had my niece sit on Robert's lap and rub his head and have her ask him to be her godfather is an absolute fucking lie.
Welcome to the Only Male Cruise Show, the podcast. I am the only male cruise. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work. All right. Welcome to the Only Male Cruise Show, the podcast. I am the only male cruise. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Today's episode, Minor One, aka Jane. Her testimony is just not ringing true. All right. Now, I don't know how many, seems like there's a lot of people that's following the R. Kelly trial right now, especially now. Shout out to Baby Shay in the house. Y'all do like Baby Shay say. Hit the like button, share, subscribe. Shout out to Kiara Hall. Thank you for pulling up. Shrinking Sharon in the house. Thanks so much. Okay, so everybody's following the R. Kelly case. Every YouTube blogger, shout out to every YouTuber that's covering the case. I'm enjoying all the different perspectives, and I'm sure you are all as well. But I'm just troubled by the most recent testimony. Well, not the most recent, the one from yesterday, because today's testimony hasn't been released, those transcripts. But it's problematic. Now, let me just go in here. Can y'all hear me? I got my mic on, right? I'm not talking over mute, right? Shout out to Tiffany Only, please. Sir Miguel in the house. Much respect to you, sir. Appreciate you so much. Come on, y'all. Like I put into the description box, what young lady, what 13-year-old is being asked by a grown man, okay, what color panties are you wearing? Let's talk about your breasts. What 13-year-old is not immediately going back to her mama, daddy, or auntie and saying, hey, this seems a little inappropriate. What's up? I just don't get that. So we know that's part of the testimony in Minor One's performance in the hearing on yesterday. And, I was reading these transcripts. I mean, I've had them since this morning, and they just bothered me, because when you look at it, listen, this stuff is not, the lies are coming out. The inconsistencies are coming out. Before they were saying, well, they were scared of Kelz. They thought it was going to be a problem. They were in fear of their life. Well, we come to find out that the parents were apparently, the parents allowed this stuff. The girl said, Minor One said, oh yeah, I got an attitude with my parents because I thought they were going to go against, absolutely, Sir Miguel. I thought they were going to go against Kelz, and I didn't want that to happen. But before this trial started, it was, oh, we were intimidated. We were fearful. Kelz is a thug. All the lies. And this, and everybody may have already seen this, but I got to run this clip real quick, y'all. Peep the game.
Van Allen, one of R. Kelly's accusers, who stars in the docuseries.
Lisa is my son's mother. We met 2007, right before the R. Kelly trial.
And Yul Brown was right by Lisa Van Allen's side at R. Kelly's child pornography trial. Why were you subpoenaed?
Because I had a lot to do with it. I had a lot to do with the whole situation.
In what capacity?
Well, like I said, I really don't want to go into the capacity of it, because I don't really care if people think I sold it or she sold it.
She says she took the tape and gave it to someone for safekeeping. Years later, she says she had R. Kelly trying to get it back.
But it wasn't her in regards to the money, because she said he ain't gonna pay nothing because he ain't never paid her nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I did it, but when I saw the tape, he was gonna pay her something.
Brown says footage of Van Allen never went public.
You never saw that tape. I made sure that. Well, I ain't gonna say I made sure of it, but you didn't see the tape that she was on. You know, he got that tape.
Okay, so he got that tape, but you had it in your possession. You know, the lies, the inconsistencies. And then we come to find out that good old Lisa Van Allen was really actually, she was of age, legal consenting age all the time. But that's not how they spun it in social media. That's not how they spun it in the mainstream media. And this is ridiculous. And to my knowledge, Yul Brown, I think that was his name, he's expected to testify at some point. At least that's my understanding. It's just too much. But I want to get a little bit into Rishana's testimony. And when I was reading it, I just made the decision. I'm not about to read this verbatim because there's so many things in here that it just really do need to be discussed. Starting off first with the prosecutor asks her, she asked her, how did you meet R. Kelly? And so, she told this story. Oh, he came to a church and blah, blah, blah. Essentially, she met him through Sparkle. And, even though that story is inconsistent. And she says that, he came to a gym or something. And in the testimony, it says he came to a church. Sparkle's on video on social media talking about, I said it wasn't at no concert. But the bottom line is, and we've all heard this by now, that Sparkle encouraged Rishana, or minor one, Jane, to ask R. Kelly to be her godfather. And the way in which it was done, and I don't know if any of you follow Sean David Way on YouTube, he talked about that earlier today. And it was so ironic because I had said the exact same thing to somebody earlier today as well. That sounds like what Sparkle did. What was testified to of what Sparkle did sounds exactly like recruitment. So if it's true that Kelz was doing this recruitment thing, okay, that sounds exactly like what Sparkle did. Go in there, tell him that you want him to be your godfather. And to me, I think godfather was the code word. As soon as she pulled up to him and sat on his lap and rubbed his head and said, would you be my godfather? That was code right there. Yeah, Sparkle talked to her and they down. But nobody's really being transparent in that. And so the prosecutor asked her, she says, let me scroll down to it. The prosecutor says, well, after you asked him that, did the conversation change? Did the conversation change? At what point did it change? Let me scroll down to it real quick, y'all. Thanks for pulling up. Hold on just a minute here. Yeah, it says, after that conversation, did your interactions change with Mr. Kelly? She says, yes. And so the prosecutor goes, all right, well, let's get into it. And so, of course, Bongine had to jump up and object. And I'm really appreciating Bongine because, what I realized in here is that all of the attorneys are listening to everything, because each of them is trying to make sure that if there's going to be any reason for appeal or any way to change the narrative, they have to be listening. And clearly, when you read these transcripts, even Darrell's attorney is objecting quite frequently, actually. So, but anyway, Bongine objects and they get that squared away. So he goes, okay, so when you were 13 years old, did the way that Kelz speak to you in conversations after he became your godfather change? And she says, yes. And the prosecutor says, well, what was the nature of the way in which the conversations changed? And Jane says it became sexual. Well, how did it become sexual? is what the prosecutor asked. And she says, through his tone of voice and just the things that he might say. Okay. And how did they first start in person or on the phone? And so she says, on the phone. And the prosecutor says, well, explain that to us. What do you mean by things became sexual specifically? And she goes, well, we would spend a lot of time on the phone together. Okay, where your mom and them at? Because I remember when I was a kid, my mom, she wouldn't let me be on the phone at all hours of the night. You understand what I'm saying? She said, well, we would be on the phone together, and eventually he might ask me a question like, what color panties are you wearing? And the prosecutor says, anything else in those conversations? She goes, well, that's all I can remember. Things of that nature to start with. And she goes, things of that nature? Well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, he would ask about my breasts growing, like I said, and, the content of my undergarments, like the color of my panties, or if I was wearing, and there's 2 dashes here, so I guess that's any. And telling me I need to be wearing bras and things like that. And, and when I read that, I was like, why didn't the prosecutor, if the prosecutor was about some justice, the follow-up question would have been, even before this trial, the follow-up question would have been, well, you didn't tell your mama that? You didn't tell your daddy that? You didn't tell your auntie that? You didn't tell nobody that a grown-ass man was asking you this stuff? And to me, this is why the government was trying to be like, don't ask about their sexual predisposition. Shout out to Frankie and Johnny. That's why, because that's the question. How is a grown man talking to you like this and you didn't tell anybody? And at the least, why didn't you at least tell Sparkle? So maybe you didn't tell Sparkle because maybe you and Sparkle already knew where this thing was going. That's all I can deduce from it. Shout out to Elvira. So he didn't know how old she was, and he didn't mess with her until she was of age. Well, the testimony is saying that they didn't have sex until she was 15. Still a minor, and according to the state of Illinois. But it's just they again, and my issue too is the fact that you have all these other people that are saying, believe the women or believe the minors or they were just kids. But come on, y'all, some of this, where's the accountability? That's what I'm getting at. J Boops, you said as a minor, why her parents aren't monitoring her calls and texts? Exactly. Exactly, Keish. The parents were complicit. And that is becoming more and more clear as this trial goes on. So the prosecutor goes on and says, did the conversations on the phone progress to something more sexual on the phone? Minor one said, yeah. She goes, well, what? And her answer, phone sex. The prosecutor says, well, when you say phone sex, what do you mean? Well, he would start asking me different questions sexually, and he would let me know that he was jagging off. You ain't tell your mama? I had to yell at the grandbabies. You ain't tell your mama, your daddy, or your auntie. You ain't told none of them this? Come on, y'all. Come on. It says, well, and so the prosecutor says, and you said that about how long after the conversation about him being your godfather until these more sexual conversations occurred? About how much time? She says, it was weeks. And did this type of talk continue in person? Yes. And where did these conversations happen? And again, you were 13 or 14 at the time, correct? She goes, yeah. So the girl says, yeah, the in-person conversations would occur at the studio, or if they were riding in the car or over the phone. And my question is, why were you so comfortable not telling your parents? Why were you so comfortable not telling your auntie? Why? This is why it's hard to believe this victim mentality thing. That's my issue with it. So the prosecutor wants to know, did conversations about things that were sexual in nature that you described earlier, did they become more than just talk? She goes, yeah. When did they become more than just talk? around the age of 14. Can you tell us more about the first time that that talk became more than just talk? It became physical. And she goes, yeah, we were in the studio and we were like watching TV and chilling. You're 14 years old, chilling with a grown man. Now, listen, I get it. If this is true, come on, Kelz, what was you doing? But if this is true, Sparkle, where was you at? Where was you at? Mama and Dad, where was y'all at? We was just chilling. After maybe a session had ended and it began with like rubbing and touching. And the prosecutor said, can you be a little bit more specific about how the encounter happened or how it went down? She goes, okay, so we were sitting in the office area of the studio on the couch, talking, watching TV, and obviously we had began phone sex at the time, so it would start out like a regular conversation, like we would be having during phone sex. And this particular time, it became more physical with touching of the breasts and him rubbing on, and the prosecutor interrupted and really pretty much just answered the daggone question herself. He was rubbing on your genitalia area? And Jane says, uh-huh. And Bonjean jumped in and says, objection to the leading. And the judge goes, yeah, don't lead. Have her describe it. And so the prosecutor with her anxious ass, damn, where was he rubbing? And so Jane says, he was rubbing in my vaginal area as well as on himself. He was rubbing himself? Yes. Where? On what part of the body? On his genital area. Prosecutor wanted to know, were other people around? Wait, let me back up. That's what she says. That's what the prosecutor says. Let me back up. You said this happened in the studio. Is that correct? And Jane goes, yeah. At Chicago Tracks? Yes. And was it in one of the rooms that we saw in the pictures? And Jane says, correct. Did you say this had happened on the couch? Is that what you said? I'm like, what's up with the prosecutor? Damn. Oh my goodness. What's tea with that? Let me see. As a minor, her parents were not monitoring. Absolutely. Alvera said, yeah, but Kelz said he never messed with any underage folks. Maybe Bonjean got something for us. Absolutely, Alvera. And I'm more inclined to believe what Kelz is saying because everybody else is talking and running their mouth. Their stories, they keep being revealed. All these inconsistencies. We saw Lisa Van Allen on Vlad talking about, I was 16, I was 15, I was this, I was that. Well, now we know you was 18. You were 18. The prosecutor even described it as just having crossed the threshold of legal adulthood. So you knew when you was on Vlad TV that you were 18 years old. But you don't mind spinning that tail of making it look like, oh, I was such a minor and didn't know nothing. Let's see, them parents found out the who and took advantage of that opportunity to make a deal. Absolutely. How was she with the strange man by herself back then? And see, and that's the case. That's the situation because they're trying to make it sound like because Sparkle made that introduction. Because according to Sparkle, she met Kelz first and she turned the family on to Kelz. So allegedly, you know, she's the one that she introduced everybody. And maybe this is why, you know, there's more to why Sparkle and the mom, Jane's mom, aren't getting along, why they're beefing. Because it's alleged that Sparkle is the one that turned the tape over, okay? That's in the testimony. Sparkle is the one, allegedly, that released the tape. So, you know, were Jane's parents okay with this arrangement? Because like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, the fact of the matter is that grown men have been kicking it with underage women. Whether we like it, whether we agree with it, whatever the deal is, it's happened. It is a reality. And so did Jane's parents, were they like, yeah, you know, we see this stuff all the time, so they didn't mind? Because as we get further into this testimony, I don't think they minded. And clearly it's a lie that, well, it seems questionable that they felt threatened. So anyway, let me move along in here. Okay. So the prosecutor says, and what time of day was this, if you recall? And Jane says, well, it was like the wee hours of the night, like after a studio session. You weren't on the album, Jane. So why were you at every damn studio session? Well, we know why now. But why didn't the parents say, well, are you doing a feature on any of the songs? Okay. But apparently it was brought up in testimony today that even Jane slept with Andrea. So where were the parents? All right. So she goes, oh, it's in the wee hours of the night, like after a studio session. Were other people around, meaning in that room or in that general vicinity? She goes, no. Well, how is it that you were able to be with him at night? You said it happened at like in the wee hours of the night. Is that what your testimony was? She goes, yeah. Okay. How was it that you were able to be with him at night? Well, by him becoming my godfather and me spending time around him casually, like at the gym, my parents felt comfortable enough to, at the time, let me stay there because I was there for the sessions. And it was like normal for me to be there watching him produce. And it was just when he became my godfather, I was able to do that without my aunt being involved. This is just too much. So the prosecutor says, so your aunt wasn't around during this encounter that you're talking about that happened on the couch or in the studio? And she goes, correct. Was Kelly married at the time? Yes. Did your parents know that you were at the studio at that time? And Bonjean objects. Court overrules her. And Jane says, can you repeat that question for me, please? She says, did you tell your parents you were at the studio at that time? She says, no. They would think that I was going back to the house as with the family. As what? The babysitter? When you say the family, who were you talking about? She says, his wife. His wife, meaning Robert Kelly? Robert Kelly's wife? And she says, yeah. Now, as a minor, you're having sex with a grown-ass man, allegedly. And he's married, and you don't have a problem with it, and you don't mind looking a wife in her eye and you, or according to testimony today, you don't mind knocking both of their boots. There's something wrong with that. And you cannot put all of that on R. Kelly. There's something wrong with that. Because what 14-year-old is interested in one, committing adultery? Okay? And according to Sparkle, y'all was a gospel group. So what 14-year-old is down for committing adultery? Keith said, no one is saying Kelz did nothing wrong. However, the parents was complicit and she loved him to the point her parents got on board. Well, you know, yeah, that's what the testimony says. But I still feel like even at a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, that's not love. And you have two parents. And so whatever you did, you know, you don't just sit back and let your 14-year-old run the show. I'm in love, mama. Oh, okay, then we'll go ahead on then. That, y'all know that ain't how that works. So that's why I don't believe that that's what the case is. I think that she's covering for her parents because she does say at some point in this testimony that she went on ahead and told this and decided to come forth because, you know, she wanted to protect her parents and blase scoop. But protect them from what? Because it sounds like this was an arrangement and the parents were on board. That's what it sounds like to me. Because why didn't you tell even if you came to fall in love with R. Kelly, when he first asked you about your panties, why didn't you tell somebody about that? Or at least ask and say, is that appropriate? Come on. Leona said, what makes no sense to me is if Kelz wanted young girls, he had the money to buy every and any young prostitute he wanted because there's a lot of young prostitutes out in Chicago. These people are lying. Yeah, he had options. Yes, facts all day. What about school? Well, with her school, come to find out she was homeschooled, which, you know, when I read that, I was like, I wonder, did that play a part in her development as far as, you know, emotionally and socially? You know what I mean? She did end up going to high school, But, and I don't know how long she was homeschooled, but I wonder, did that play a part in that? And then if you had an auntie who was like, gone over there, sit on that grown ass man's lap, rub his head and ask him to be your goddaddy, and you already knew that you had godparents. So y'all, come on now, this ain't all the truth is not being told on the stand. And that's why I'm not shocked that Sparkle made that statement that what she said on the stand is an absolute effing lie, period. You said, I don't buy none of this BS. I can't believe people that brought it common sense should kick in. It sure damn should. It sure should. I never with my godfather. No ma'am, no ma'am, no sirree. And that's the whole point. It's like, we ain't buying into it. Let me keep up in these comments real quick. If that girl brought the tape out, then I would say the same. What you mean, Keisha? Elaborate for me so I understand. The math ain't mathin', Jay. It ain't mathin'. It's not mathin'. Feel the glow in the house. Thanks for pulling up. Appreciate you so much. Chi-Town's finest in the house. Thanks for sending that PayPal. We appreciate y'all. Y'all see that ticker below. All right, we still doing that fundraiser for the transcripts. If you care, if you like us, go ahead on and make it rain in the Cash App as best you can. She says, I don't believe he was interested in her like that at a young age. She was told to say those things. I don't believe that was her on the tape either. Yeah. I think on Twitter somewhere they're saying something like they could hear the audio, and I think I read somewhere, and I'll check it before we leave, that it didn't sound like her or something of that nature. So even that's still questionable. Shout out to another number one mod, Island Browning in the house, and definitely another number one mod, Baby Shay. Y'all do like Island Browning say, all right? Do like she say. All right, let me get back into these transcripts because this is very revealing. It's ugly. It's ugly. So you didn't mind, according to the testimony today, you didn't mind having sex with Andrea too and R. Kelly. You didn't mind none of that. But you're 13 and 14 years old. You got parents at the crib, and all this is Kel's fault. Okay, So the prosecutor goes, his wife, meaning Kel's wife? She goes, yeah. She said, after that first sexual encounter that happened on the couch there in his office, did things progress sexually? And she says, yes. And the prosecutor said, well, how and where? And minor one says, they started to progress vaginally. We started penetration. That was at the George Street house. Before there was penetration, and you were talking about vaginal penetration, sexual intercourse. Is that right? Yes. Before that, were there other sexual acts that you engaged in before getting to that point? Yes. Can you please describe those acts and where they would occur? Well, they would occur at the studio or at the George Street house, and it was though like different sexual acts being filmed. So the prosecutor says, okay, so let's back up a little bit and talk about the progression of time. So you were, again, this was around the time you were 13 or 14, and Bone Jean objects. She says, objection. She testified to she was 14. And old Judge Harry talking about, excuse me? And Bone Jean says, leading is inappropriate. And the judge says, okay, all right. I guess she wasn't. Be more specific. 13 or 14. What age are you talking about? And so the prosecutor goes, yes, Your Honor. When you were 14. So we're talking about when you were 14 years old. And if y'all recall, in the opening statements, they kept and they were really trying to play to the jury. They were like, this 13 or 14-year-old, and she had to deal with the dark side of Kelz. So they, even now when they had minor one on the stand, they're still, if Bone Jean hadn't objected, they were going to let that seep into the jury's mind that still this person was 13 or 14, when in fact you didn't have sex with Robert Kelly, according to you, allegedly, until you were 15. That's still not good, if this is true. But, let's keep it honest, okay? So it wasn't 13 or 14. So she goes, when you were 14, so we're talking about when you were 14 years old. Jane goes, All right. And Mr. Kelly was engaging you in sex acts when you were 14 years old. You explained that at some point it turned into vaginal intercourse. But before that, were there other acts? Is that correct? And she goes, yes. Okay. And so what type of sex acts before intercourse? And Jane says, it would be like, oral sex, kissing, hugging, sucking. Yeah, oral. And so the prosecutor says, how would you know what to do with him sexually? Jane said, because he would tell me what to do. Now, when I was reading this transcript this morning, y'all know I had a little joke, okay? And I want to be sensitive to the minor in the situation. And, as I continue to read this transcript, shout out to K Baby. All bets, they're off the freaking table, y'all. If y'all saw the tape, if y'all seen the tape, then damn it, Kelz is one hell of an instructor, okay? Because on that tape, yeah. Need I say more? Alvera, you said, didn't she say yesterday that she was 15 when she lost her virginity? Yeah, and those are the transcripts that I'm in. And again, it's interesting because that's a good catch, Alvera, because right there, Bonjean didn't object to that particular statement, but it's going to get clarified. So here we go. She goes, how old were you when he began having sexual intercourse with you? 15. And the prosecutor says, well, how do you know? How is it that you knew you were 15? And she goes, because that's when I lost my virginity. Now, when I saw that on Twitter at first, before I got these transcripts, I was like, damn. If you didn't really want to come up off your virginity because, mainstream media wasn't saying all the other stuff. They weren't making it clear that, she had all this freedom, that she was, Sparkle told her to go sit on his lap and all this kind of stuff. They didn't tweet that part out. Okay. We're tweeting it out. The YouTube bloggers, Black Twitter, we're the ones talking about that. So all I saw in the tweet was she was 15 years old when she lost her virginity. And you're still trying to make it seem like you're this victim who, somehow got snatched by the neck and kidnapped or some crap, But here you were doing a lot of stuff with evidently your parents' approval. And not only were you doing a lot of stuff, but you was kicking it with the wife too. And you were okay with that. Clearly, you were okay with that because, like you said, you would tell your parents that you were going to their house to be for the blank to be the babysitter. Come on. She goes, well, how did you know that? She said, because that's when I lost my virginity. The prosecutor said, now, you told us that you would have these sexual encounters at the George Street house and the studio. Now, how is it that you would meet up with Kelz to engage in these sexual acts? And then Jane is like, well, can you repeat the question? Prosecutor said, look, how did that happen? Okay. How'd that happen? She goes, you weren't living at either of those places, right? You weren't living at the studio or at the George Street property, right? She goes, no. And the prosecutor says, at this time, again, 14, 15 years old. She says, correct. That's how it was. She goes, so how is it that you all would hook up and connect to meet up to have sex or engage in sex acts? She says, usually I would go to the basketball gym with my parents or my aunt still. And we would leave there, maybe go eat, go back to the studio. And then it would be like a weekend situation where my parents knew that I was going to be going to my godparents' house for the weekend. So they would pretty much drop me off and then leave. Okay. They would drop you off and leave. And again, how is Drea not legally implicated in this? Okay. And if we're supposed to believe that Kelz is the only one who wanted this kept a secret, are you serious? This makes me wonder, who really wanted this to be kept a secret? Did this really become problematic when it got out? Because people were going to ask the common sense question, what did the parents say about this? Because as we all know, the father, because it says here in the testimony that behind this tape coming out, both parents had testimony says quit their job. because this had got out. And so after that, the father started working for Kelz. Okay. So who really wanted this to be kept a secret? Who really wanted this to be a secret? I think all of them did. Anyway, so the parents would drop them off and leave. So the prosecutor said, okay, and how would you communicate with Mr. Kelly in advance of these times where you would meet up? And she goes, well, it would be over the phone. And I would just ask him if it was okay to come over for the weekend. Oh, you wanted to pull up for the weekend. Okay. And he would say yes. And he would say, you can meet me here, whether it be the studio or the gym or whatever was pretty much happening at the time. So it sounded to me like she was initiating contact, at least in this bit of testimony right here. Now, ladies, don't we initiate contact if that's something we want to do? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm asking for a friend. Small Fry in the house. What's tea, Small Fry? Appreciate you pulling up all the time, girl. Thanks for pulling up. Let's see. I appreciate all y'all pulling up. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Dropped you off and collect a check. J Boopsy, absolutely. Love and life, shout out to you. The Only Male Cruise. None of this makes sense to me. If she was 14 or 15, she was really comfortable with having sex with him. Most girls would be avoiding him at all costs out of fear. Absolutely. And you would at least be like, if you didn't have any sexual predisposition, the first time a grown, sexy ass man talking about some, don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind, ask you about your panties, I'm sorry, but I would start stuttering for a minute. And at that age, I would have had to tell somebody. That's why I think somebody knew. Somebody already knew what it was. Oakland Barbie, shout out. Oakland Barbie said, the dad still played guitar for R. Kelly well after the tape came out. The parents are just as guilty. Absolutely. Wonder when we will hear from Drea. I hope we do. So this is a fixed trial from NYC till Chicago, but they needed to be quicker than that because all the truth is about to come out. And Kelz will be vindicated for everything. Watch, I'm inclined to agree with it because as a juror, if I were a juror, these are the questions I would be asking. And you're not going to tell me, well, you can't think about where the parents were. How come? If I can't add that into everything going on and you're telling me the parents were afraid and they were being intimidated, but the mom and them is dropping you off, you never said nothing to your parents. Come on. Right, Love and Life. I would have told everybody. And come to find out, she did. She did tell some people when Kelz wanted her to do some recruiting. So she said, yeah, I would call him and when I wanted to come over. So the prosecutor said, well, how would the invitations go? Would he sometimes invite you to come over and would you sometimes ask to come over? She goes, yeah. And now she just said that. The girl Jane just said, I would call him when I wanted to come over. So why is the prosecutor asking, how would the invitations go? Would he sometimes invite you to come over? See, because now you want to make sure you put it in the atmosphere that he would sometimes invite you to come over. You don't want to leave it out here in the atmosphere that you were the one making the phone calls, asking if you could come over for the weekend. Because if you was pulling up for the weekend, it wasn't going to be no one and done. All right? It wasn't about to be that. You want to get in that, let me be quiet. I'm trying to have some level of compassion. Love and life, especially if I was a virgin. Especially if I was a virgin. But who's really to blame here? Did Sparkle set this up? That's a fair question. So she says, yeah, who would ask? Did he ask? Would you ask? Did both of y'all ask each other? She goes, yeah. Okay, prosecutor says, and were you meeting up so that you could engage in these sex acts? And she goes, yes. Would you discuss that on the phone? No. Where would you say that your parents would drop you off? Bonjean objects. She goes, I'm going to object to, we're talking about, I don't know if she's, 1 minute. She's talking about 13, 14, 15. There's no foundation, and there needs to be some foundation. And so the prosecutor goes, Your Honor, we're talking about when she was 14 years old. Bonjean said, No, we weren't. She said 15. Come on, Bonjean, on the case. Shoot. So the prosecutor goes, leading up, I was finishing my sentence, leading up to when she was 15 and engaged in sexual intercourse. Well, ask the question right, prosecutor. And the judge said, all right. Prosecutor goes, well, we haven't gone. That's the time frame we're in right now. So the judge said, okay, you're asking her whether she was 14 or 15. Make sure. I think that's what we need to know. She goes, yes. When you ask her specific acts, yes, Your Honor. All right, so she goes back to the questioning. She goes, so we had talked about sexual intercourse occurred when you were 15 years old. Prior to that, when you were 14, he was engaging you in oral sex and other sex acts, right? She goes, yeah. So between the time you were 14 years old and up until the time you turned 18 years old, was Mr. Kelly engaging you in sex acts? You see how she changed her sentence in the midstream? Don't try to put it on Kelz. It take two to tango, baby. Was Kelz making it? Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, AUSA. Just Jazz Mel Mods in the chat. Hey, shout out to all y'all. Shout out to Just Jazz channel. Y'all, we working together. Me and Just Jazz, we working together. We want y'all to make some donations so we can keep these transcripts pulling up. All right. Let's see. So she goes, yeah, Kelz was we were engaging in sex. Prosecutor goes, including oral sex? How many times is she going to ask this question? What? How many times is this prosecutor going to ask that damn question? Including oral sex? She goes, correct. Sexual intercourse? Yes. Is that right? Jane Doe goes, uh-huh. What were some of the places that Mr. Kelly would engage you in sexual acts during that time period? So Jane began to answer. She goes, and then the prosecutor comes in and goes, at 14, up until you were 18. I just, I wonder, and maybe one of the other YouTube bloggers can answer this question. I wonder how this prosecutor is asking these questions. Like, I know she's not doing it in a monotone fashion, because the way these questions are in this transcript sound to me like she might be enjoying this line of questioning. And did he do? And then, and so then what you do? And you said objection. Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. All right. So she asked her, at 14, up until you were 18, where were y'all knocking the boots? So Jane said, at the studio, on the bus, at the George Street house. And the prosecutor goes, are there any other places that this occurred between the time you were 14 years old to the time you were 18? And Jane says, hotels. Where would those hotels be? Now, this is interesting. Jane said different places. Florida, New York, different states. Why is this 13, 14, 15-year-old traveling with R. Kelly and you are not being a feature on his upcoming music, on any of his studio projects? You're not backup dancing. You're not babysitting. You're not cutting your own album. Hold on. Oh, thank you. I thought I heard them grandbabies crying. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Why ain't y'all asleep? I said, we ain't crying. I said, okay, all right, now let me get back to this. All right. Okay, so that's my question. Different places, Florida, New York, different states. Why are you in different places? You're not on any studio project. You're not doing anything. Why are you traveling with Kelz? I need a question. I need an answer for that. Leslie Jennings, all of Just Jazz only YouTube channel mods and house. I appreciate y'all support. Appreciate y'all pulling up. Exactly. These questions make me think she freaky. They really do. They seem a little freaky to me. Shoot. Let me see here. He engaged in sex with her as a minor, correct? Well, the testimony is, according to Kelz, is that he did not have sex with any of these young ladies when they were minors. Now, I can't remember exactly where I read that, but I believe that was something that Bongine had stated in a motion. Kelz does not deny having sex with some of these victim witnesses, but he does assert that none of them were minors at the time. Words of that effect. I'll try to find that if I can for another show. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay, after all this sex at 14, 15, I'm sure her ass love in life. After all this sex at 14, 15, I'm sure her ass was worn out by the time she was 18. Nobody her age could ever satisfy her now. I mean, that is a very good, I can't disagree with your sweet love. I can't disagree with your love in life. It's no comment. Alvera said, oh my God, this is the same line of questions as in New York. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But why was she in Florida, New York, and other places? Why? And you weren't doing nothing. It was from Bongine. Thank you, Alvera. Thanks for being on top of it. She says she did not start having sex with Drea until she was 17. You see, it seemed like she's trying to cover for Drea. Like she's trying to keep Drea out the frying pan if she can. Which means that when she started, Shy Town's finest. Which means that's when she started with RSK. Girl, I had not even thought about it that way. Damn, that's a good ass point. Man, that's a good point. So she goes Florida, New York, different states. The prosecutor said about what was the frequency of the sex acts? Jane said very frequent. Prosecutor said, let's talk about in terms of like times a day or times during a week. Bongine said, okay, I'm going to object again. Is this between the age of 14 to 18, that entire 4-year period? And so the prosecutor goes, between the ages of 14 and 18, yes, Your Honor. She has knowledge of what happened to her during those years. She can testify. The Judge Harry said, all right, ask her that. Well, go ahead. Objection overruled. Go ahead and ask her the questions. So she says, the prosecutor goes, about how many times did Mr. Kelly engage you in sexual intercourse during that period, from 14 years old to 18 years old? Bongine said, okay, I'm going to object. The intercourse started at 15, so the question is misleading. I would ask for a proper foundation. The details are important. At least they are to us. Spit the game, Bongine. Bongine ain't playing a lover. Judge Harry said, I believe it was 15 to 18. So the AUSA says, yes, from 15 to 18, how many times did Mr. Kelly engage you in sexual intercourse? Oh, Jane said, innumerable amounts of time. I'm sorry? Like uncountable, a lot of times. Are we talking about tens or hundreds of times? And Jane said hundreds. So is it fair to say you can't recall every single instance and every single occurrence? Is that correct? And Jane said, yes. She said, you mentioned just now in your testimony that between the ages of 14 and 18, when you were engaging in sexual intercourse, that it happened at Chicago Track Studio. Is that correct? Yes. Those photos that we just saw earlier of Chicago Track Studio, did sexual intercourse occur in any of those rooms? Yes. Which rooms? All of them. The office where there was a massage table? Yes. And did sexual acts occur on that massage table? Yes. And the room, which was, I believe, did you say it was a lounge room where the couch was? Yes. Is in that room as well? Yes. Now, when you strike that, strike that. Did Mr. Kelly ever provide you with alcohol during the times that you were together? Yes. So Bonjean objected to all that. She wasn't trying to hear about all that damn drinking. And so they go back and forth. She goes, Your Honor, again, she was there. She can testify to what happened. This is what the AUSA is saying in objection to Bonjean's objection. If you would like the time frame, we can zero in on that. Bonjean said, it's just foundation, just foundation, Judge, a little bit of foundation. This is years of time period. So Judge Harry said she wants to know when. I guess pinpoint the date when they started drinking alcohol. I guess would be a good way to start. So the AUSA goes, the judge said, can you pinpoint the time when you first began giving you alcohol? So Jane says 14. What effect, if any, did the alcohol have on you? Jane said, can you repeat that? What effect, if any, did the alcohol have on you? Jane, I don't remember a lot. I used to consume a lot of it during that time, so it affected me. It helped me loosen up. It kind of took me away from the moment. It makes me wonder, are they trying to find some new charges? Are they going to update the indictment? Is that going to be the news in the coming Monday? Money hungry heifers. Go on and say that, would you? Would you say that again? Robert Sylvester Kelly, Bell? Yeah, because 17 is a legal age in the shy. So Drea wouldn't be in trouble. Yeah, it's all nice and sweet, ain't it? It's just so perfect. Let me see. Now she getting out of hand with these questions. She really is. You ain't got to be. Yeah. Lil Mac in the house. Her testimony, bull crap. These tapes is the main thing. If she ain't on the tape, Robert ain't on the tape, they need to throw the case out. If it was 15, 18, she wasn't on the tape because she said she was 14. Exactly. Throw it, oh my God, throw it all the way to hell out. How about that? Where are the babies for hundreds of times? Say what now? What you asking me, Alvera? Make it clear for me. Where are the parents? Maybe that's what you're saying, because, where are the parents? This is out of control. So the parents didn't know you was coming home drunk, or was you drinking only when it was on the weekend? I mean, you was babysitting and drinking? Is that what's going on? Come on. Okay. Let me get back on this transcript. Okay. She goes, I don't remember. It loosened me up, took me away for the moment. Prosecutor goes, during the time you were between 14 and 18 and you were engaging in sex acts with Mr. Kelly, what, if anything, were you shown during sex acts or leading up to sex acts? I was shown other pornography tapes. Who? When you say pornography, what do you mean? Can you describe what you were shown? It would just be on the television, other pornography going on the television while he and I was engaging in sexual activity. And who was, if you can recall, were you able to ever identify any of the people that were in those pornographic images? Yes, some of the people I knew. Without saying, did you know the females and the males, or just the males? She goes, I knew both. Were some of the ones, or some of the people, Bonjean, object to leading. Go ahead. And she goes, who were some of the people that were depicted in? The judge said, that's not who. Oh, wait a minute. Bonjean said, I'm going to object to the relevance of who was depicted as well, Judge. She started to lead. I objected. The court said, start the question with who, I guess, would. And then the AUSA goes, who was depicted in the videos of pornography that you saw that Mr. Kelly would show when you were engaging in sex acts? Bonjean said, objection, relevance. The judge overruled it, and Jane said, Robert. Now, at some point when, again, during that time period when you were 14 to 15 years old, did Mr. Kelly ask you to invite your friends to engage in sexual activity? And she says, yes. Now she getting ready to tell us, I'm going to tell you, it seemed like all we got to do is change a couple names and throw Sparkle in there. She goes, What, if anything, would he say to encourage this? He would just kind of make an advance, like, what's up with this person or that person? Like, you know how you would feel if they were included in or on our sexual activity, or he would kind of crush on them a little bit. He would kind of crush on them. Is that what you said? Yes. What does that mean? Just be kind of flirty with whatever remark he was making towards that person to me. What was your response? I told him yes, I would basically pitch the idea. Like your auntie did with you? What was your response? And you mean to tell me you didn't have a problem with none of this? For things that were supposed to be happening for the very first time in your life, you sure was no disrespect, but you sure was taking that shit like a pro. A grown-ass man asking you about what kind of panties are you wearing? Shoot, that was the equivalent of how you doing today. You wanna get into a threesome with your friend? Sure. And all these are supposed to be your first time. Come on. Does Bone Jean have any sealed evidence? I can't remember. Alvera, I'm not sure. Probably not sealed to between the parties, but to us in motions, there were some sealed things. And to my knowledge, I don't believe what has been sealed has been unsealed. So there may be some surprises coming up. So, but Kelz did say, and that's mentioned in other motions, that he had some, I'm going to use the word, some bombshell information to testify to. If I can remember what video or what motion that's in, I'll be sure to bring that up on the next time I go live with it. Ruby Lockett, did Jennifer have any evidence? Not sure if I'm clearly understanding that question, but I don't know. She would have to have been pregnant after, well, see, and there was supposed to have been some allegation that she was pregnant and blase scoop. It's just too much. She said, Ruby Lockett, yes, Chi-Town, said she had text messages that our Rashonda admitted was her, and oh boy. Well, she definitely admitted she was in love, because that came out today. It's just a lot. Let me see what's going on here. Sparkle lying, trying to cover her butt. If Sparkle saying lying on her low is Rashonda testimony credible, it's very possible she lying on R. Kelly. Like I said, everybody that is talking, hurrying up and running to a microphone and a camera and a book deal and a docuseries, all of their stories have come out in some shape, form, or fashion to be some bullshit. It's just come out where somebody's lying. It's just not true. And the only one that ain't been talking is Kelz. But these people can't keep their story right. Come on. Some of them folks was on a trip with her out of town. Ooh, orgy on wheels. Come on. Pitch the idea at 15. Girl, bye. Ain't that it? Oh, yeah, ain't no problem. I do it if that's what you want. I'm down, because she was a pro. That's that. Huh, what? Say that for the people in the back. All right. So the AUSA goes, were two of these friends that you pitched the idea to Pinky and Brittany? Yes. And now Pinky and Brittany are not their real names. Is that correct? Correct. These are their pseudonyms. Yes. Is Pinky your age? Yes. When was the first time Kelz engaged you and Pinky in a sex act at the same time? How old were you? About 14 or 15. And where did this occur? At the George Street house. Pinky, where was your mom and them at? All these unmonitored, unprotected, but y'all talking about, y'all want to get mad at Kelz supporters because we're like, this is a railroad ass type thing going on, a good kangaroo court. Y'all are mad at the supporters of R. Kelly, but y'all aren't mad at the parents. Y'all, those of you who are against Kelz and for the victim witnesses, is there any ounce of credibility that these victim witnesses should have? How do you supporters or you non-supporters of R. Kelly, how do y'all feel with the fact that it was disclosed Lisa Van Allen was never even a minor coming out the gate? How do y'all feel? And you non-supporters of R. Kelly, but supporters of the protective victim witnesses, Does it seem a little bit off that this 14-year-old, 13-year-old at the time had all this freedom to just move about like she was on Greyhound, just move about when and however? Come on, y'all. We can't stop people from becoming victims if we see victim behavior or non-victim behavior and still call that victim behavior. Come on, y'all. Stop it. Stop it. Y'all, we need to be calling. This is the shit to call out. All right, I'm sorry. She was there up here saying her and Pinky got it in at the George Street house with Kelz. And can you explain in detail that encounter? She goes, well, we went to the studio and we ended up going to the George Street house. It was a weekend and we led up to it by having like different phone conversations or different like flirty encounters if we would be around each other. And when we were at the George Street house, we started engaging in sexual activity all together. So AUSA says, and at this point, this first instant, was it sexual intercourse? Here she go again. Damn. It was intimate. Yes. You 14 and 15 years old. It was intimate? Okay. What 14, 15-year-old be using the word intimate? It was intimate. Okay. Mm-hmm. Little glass of Kool-Aid. Okay, that's intimacy, baby. It was intimate. Yes, at the time we were engaging in sexual intercourse. Yes. When you say intercourse, do you mean actually vaginal intercourse or oral sex and fondling and things like that? Yes, all of that. After that time, did you have multiple sexual encounters together with Mr. Kelly and Pinky? Yes. And how old were you? I was probably between like 14 and 16. Okay, and so when the events occurred, if they were prior to 15, were they sexual intercourse or were they other acts? I'm sorry, could you repeat that? AUSA says, so when the acts occurred, when you were prior to the age of 15, was it sexual intercourse or other sexual conduct? Other sexual conduct. And from the time you were around 15 until after, it included sexual intercourse. Is that correct? Yes. And again, about how many times did you have these sexual encounters with Kelz and Pinky during the time frame when you were 14, between 14 and 18 years old? It was several times. At some point, did these sexual encounters between the three of you, did they stop? Yes. And why did they stop? Because I found out that Pinky was seeing Robert outside of us engaging together. So she and I stopped being friends. Okay. All right. Now, y'all, let's take a good inventory. Okay. The man asked you, what color panties are you wearing? Are you wearing panties? Oh, okay. Look at your breasts. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. You ever done this before? Oh, okay. Want to do a threesome? Yeah. How about, you comfortable asking your friends? And now you're mad because Kelz is knocking them boots with one of your friends. That's some relationship. I'm sorry, that's not no minor victim shit right there. I'm sorry. Corey Simmons, shout out to Corey Simmons. Wonder how many witnesses Jennifer Bonjean going to call. Hopefully more than New York federal case. Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be on and popping. She asking friend to do threesome. Definitely not a victim. Definitely not a victim. And then you want to get mad because the friend you asked to get into the threesomes is getting in with Kelz on the low. And they didn't tell you. Okay, jealousy? Is it safe to say Sparkle sold her niece for a record deal no matter if she was 15 or 17? Well, not Sparkle, but Sparkle and the family is what I'm wondering. But again, like it or not, grown men kicking it with young-ass girls happens. Whether you like it or not, whether people think it's wrong or not, but it does happen. So I say that because maybe the parents didn't really have a problem with it. The only problem is that it came out and they knew that the majority of people in society would be like, what the hell is y'all doing over there? But quietly, behind closed doors, man, whatever. We getting paid, everybody's happy, blah, blah. Who knows? But it's definitely questionable why they allowed this, why this occurred. I want to know, do R. Kelly have witnesses? I don't know. That's a good ass question, Ruby. That's a damn good question. Let me get in these comments real quick. All of the stories are, copy and paste. Ain't that it? Love and Life? Absolutely. Let me see. I'm sure Corey Simmons should be more. Whew. Cover. Jennifer Bonjean cross-examination. Yep. In Jesus' name, please do. Let me see. The supporters don't give two F's. Stay mad. And kiss my J's. My opinion is just that. Mine. Absolutely. I just needed to make sense. And you're right. Shit. You're absolutely right, Showtime's finest. So, I will call about 50 witnesses for my defense if I can. Well, who Kelz could have called or would have called, every chance they get to rail, they trying to point fingers. Even June Brown's, they trying to, minimize his role in there as much as possible. So let's see what else we got going on here. Neglect. Absolutely. Neglect from the parents and neglect from the other adult in the room, aka Sparkle. Drea better come on through and clean this up. Ain't nothing Drea can say. And if Drea does testify and that ass has immunity, then we know something. And out of all these immunity deals, y'all gonna tell me that Kelz is the only one y'all want? Get on up out of here. Drea is too busy here in Atlanta having cabaret shows. What? Absolutely. Oh my goodness, it's too much. It is way too much. I had to sip some wine for this one, y'all. All right. She quit being friends with Pinky because Pinky was getting in with Rob outside of the threesome. They was doing the twosomes. And so the prosecutor says, and when you were seeing Mr. Kelly, what do you mean? She goes, like, sexually, like outside of all of us being together. She started seeing him separately without my knowledge. About how old were you when that happened? About 16. 16? Is that what you said? Yes. And you said that Pinky is your same age? So she was about 16 when this happened too? Yes. Now, regarding Brittany, is Brittany your same age or is she older? She's older. Do you recall how old you were when Mr. Kelly engaged you and Brittany in a sex act at the same time? About 15. Oh, wonder is Brittany of legal Illinois age? Do you recall where the first act occurred? It was in the studio. I'm going to show you a photo. She shows her this photo, says, do you see it? She says, yeah. She wants to know, is this Brittany? And how long? Can you explain again? Where did you meet Brittany? She met Brittany at school. She met Brittany when around 15 years old. And did you know Brittany? Are you still in contact with Brittany from time to time over the years until the age of now? You're 37. She goes, yeah. Okay. So you would be able to recognize her if you saw her. Yes. I wonder, does anybody know, is Brittany in the, surviving R. Kelly anywhere? I'd like to see what she said. So she shows her another picture. She goes, yeah, that's Brittany. And does it truly and accurately depict Brittany? Yes. Let's see. And again, who's depicted, blah, blah, blah. And again, forgive me, did you say how old you were when Mr. Kelly engaged you and Brittany in sex acts at the same time? About 15. And how many sexual encounters did you have with Mr. Kelly and Brittany? Multiple. The three of you together? Multiple. Between 5 and 10 or much more than 10? Between 5 and 10. Can you describe the sex acts that occurred between Brittany and Mr. Kelly and yourself? Huh? Can you? It involved vaginal and oral sex. And where did these sexual acts take place? Usually at the studio. And at some point, did they stop? Yes. And why did they stop? Because, similar to the same situation, she and I stopped being friends because she started seeing Robert separately from all of us being involved together or being around each other without my knowledge. And when you say seeing, what do you mean? Sexually. Just hanging out. Huh. Okay. So they took a little break. That was the morning session. Let me run on over here to this chat and see what y'all saying. Y'all's out of control. It's out of control. Let me see what y'all talking about here in this chat. I don't believe she was a girl. I don't either. I don't know what to believe, but I think I know who to believe, and that'd be R. Kelly. I believe every damn thing R. Kelly said, because you know why? He ain't said a damn thing. And everybody else that's talking is lying. They've been caught. They've been caught in lies. They ain't even got their lies together. She admitted her parents was okay with it, and Sparkle knew from the start. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, she probably was throwing a, ooh. Okay, that is in the circle. All right, now. No, Kelz said he never, so I guess I'm going to stick to it. She lived with Kelz for 10, thank you. And that's what we're going to find out in her afternoon session. Read the cross. Sparkle lie. Hey, shout out to Jason Finch. Well, Jason, finally, that question you've been asking for the past few months about, we got to get ready for Rashonda Landfair. Well, we ready. She's here, and we covering it. It's a trip. His brother's supposed to testify for him. R. Kelly, he was there sometime. Oh, okay. Well, that'll be news. That'll be news, and I'd like to see that. Because I know Bonjean did say they had a relationship. She said that in their opening statement. They've been at a relationship. She has one darn near every weekend. Check her out. Y'all do like Island Browning say. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Brittany is her cousin. Now, you done fell out with your family because Kelz is seeing her and not you. Love and Life, I saw one of my friends sent me of her walking backwards, switching her booty. I mean, I don't know. It's just too much. It's too much. It's just way too much. It's out of control. Let me get on over here to these afternoons, because this is where... Let me skip up in here, because then when I read this is really what made me say, just hold on, Mel. Hold on. All right, hold on. Let me do some scrolling up, because like I said, I'm not reading this whole entire thing, because for what? Read it all for what? We just want to get to some of this stuff that makes absolutely no motherfucker sense. All right, so they come back after court. I mean, after their little recess, because they took a recess. They come back. Yeah, we're going to get into this mom and daddy thing here. And this is what really is enough to make you say, everybody's lying. Every damn body's lying. Hold on, y'all. I meant to have this queued up before I even went live, so my apologies. Hold on. And this damn prosecutor keeps 14, 15, how old were you? And then what? And what now? All right, let me see. All right, so they come back to court. The girl takes her mask off. She gets back on the stand. Here's this damn prosecutor again. She goes, Jane, you can take off your mask. She goes, okay, thank you. And pull the microphone up nice and close, because I want to hear everything. Now, you explained in your testimony earlier today that the conversations changed to sex talk with Mr. Kelly. Do you recall that testimony? And she goes, yep. Could you explain to the jury if you know why you all engaged in sex talk at that time? What? Again, after he became a godfather, there became an attraction. Now she lying. And he started making advances, and that's how I know that's how it unfolded. And why did you engage in sex talk with him? I just kind of went with the flow. He kind of threw me off. I wasn't exactly sure how to respond or how I should handle it, so I was just being responsive. Okay. And how did you view Mr. Kelly at the time when he started that sex talk with you and you participated in it? How did you view him at the time? Listen to this lie-ass answer. As an authoritative figure. Now, you get that on the job, on those EEOC complaints, when somebody's charging sexual harassment and it's the boss, an authoritative figure. Come on. He was an authoritative figure, but you never told nobody? And you called and said, can I come over this weekend? She goes, what do you mean? Can you explain that? Well, he was an adult and he was somebody that I looked up to. So he was an authoritative figure over me at the time, aside from the sexual acts or anything like that. Oh, so you separating the two? You see him as a man that can pay the bills and an R&B superstar. So aside from the sexual acts, he was an authoritative figure. But as far as the sexual, so again, I just went with the flow. Okay. So she goes, okay. And then we talked in your testimony. You explained to the jurors that you started to engage in sex acts. And again, we're talking about before you turned 15, when the sexual intercourse began. Okay, so we're talking about that time frame when you were 14 years old. She goes, now, yeah, I'm going to reread this because haven't we already established that it was 15 when she had sex? But she says here, and again, we're talking about before you turn 15 when the sexual intercourse began. Okay. She goes, okay, so we're talking about the time frame when you're 14. She goes, Okay, why? And you said you engaged in sex acts with Mr. Kelly. Why did you participate in those acts? It was out of intimidation. And again, like he was an authoritative figure, so I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to say no. I felt uncomfortable, but at the same token, I looked up to him. I did see him as an authoritative figure. So I just kind of went along with things, and then it somewhat became normal. Okay, so when you say it somewhat became normal, what do you mean? What did you start feeling for him? I started having feelings for him. I was attracted to him in that way. And things were happening so frequently, it was kind of just like being done out of repetition. You were intimidated, but you initiated phone calls to see could you come over for the weekend? You were intimidated, but you also talked to other people like Brittany and Pinky. You didn't tell them you were intimidated, but you told them, come on, y'all, let's get this threesome. I ain't buying that. Who's buying that? Come on, she goes, what do you mean? What did you start feeling for him? I started having feelings for him. I was attracted to him in that way, and things were happening so frequently. It was just kind of just like being done out of repetition. And when you say things that were happening so frequently, what are you talking about? Sexual involvement, engagement, and our interactions. Okay, then again, so we were talking about the period when you were 14 and sex acts were occurring, and then you explained to the jury that when you were 15, that progressed to sexual intercourse. Is that correct? Yes. And you had explained that you were 15 because you lost your virginity. Is that right? Correct. And just to be clear, to whom did you lose your virginity? Robert. And how were you feeling about him around that time when you first began engaging in sexual intercourse when you were 15? I developed feelings for him and I felt good about our interactions. What are some of the things, if any, he was trying to make you feel good about your interactions? That he loved me, that he would take care of me, that he was my protector. Okay. I ain't gonna read all this verbatim, y'all. Hold on just a minute, y'all. Sorry, y'all. I had to bribe these children with ice cream. If they'll just sit down for a minute. So anyway, I ain't gonna read these the whole thing because the oh my God, let me see these comments. I can't wait until the mother gets on the stand. Bone Sheen is gonna rip her apart. 14-year-old, a bunch of them heifers. Flat out lie. So you didn't know not to be sexual with a god? Ooh, Jay Oopsie. Now, you know what? I'm going to say it right now. Does anybody want me to drop the link? Just say, drop the link. I'll be happy to do it. But absolutely right, Jay Poopsie. You didn't know that. You knew it was okay because Godfather was a code word, evidently. Had to been. So how would she view? Ooh, wee. Oh my goodness. So how would she view her daddy if he tried it? I'm assuming he's an authority figure. Oh, next question would have been, were you already seeing a psychiatrist for mental illness? Y'all do like baby Shay say. Do like she say. Go with the flow at 15 does not mean spread ego and have group sex. I'm so confused. First you had phone sex. Then you got scared afterwards, after hundreds of times after having sex. Girl, thank you. And you turned your friends out, your cousins out, your family out. And you knew Sparkle, even though Sparkle said, I wasn't in a relationship, but you knew she was knocking his boots. And you was knocking the boots with the wife, with Drea. All bad boss, baby. Oh, Pinky, Brittany, y'all tired, and is now trying to get a bag. Ain't that it? Yeah, she was making some boss moves. I'd call her boss baby too. We don't need to ask AUSA Crow why she came up with that nickname. That's some boss ass player she was doing. The husband, the wife, the auntie. Who else? Just read the cross. Ruby, you got to give me some details on that one, baby. What you talking about? Come on. What you mean, girl? I want to understand. That's what I'm asking. Isn't that what Jane said in New York, that Kelz would take care of her for life? Well, in the transcripts, it's going to come out up in here that she thought she was going to marry Kelz. So you're 13, you're 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay? You're at some age, you're having sex with Kelz, phone sex. He's asking you, what color panties is you wearing? Are you wearing any panties? What about a threesome? You want to do some of that there? You're making phone calls saying, can I come over this weekend? You're lying to your parents. You're going out of town. And you're committing adultery. And you thought Kelz was going to marry you. You're saying in this testimony that Kelz told you he's trying to figure out how he can get out of his situation with an adult woman to marry your quote unquote not even 21-year-old ass. Y'all know this story, don't we? Wouldn't believe this shit if it was written and put on TV. Robert Sylvester Kelly was muted, had no money coming in. The landfarers got mad and cooperated with the feds. They did not think their dirty laundry would be aired. Jennifer Crossing Jane. Oh, thank you, Ruby. Because, girl, I thought you was trying to say something. I'm sorry about that. No, girl, you're fine. Because I kept thinking about, what is it, Mississippi Mass Choir. They got that song called The Cross. I thought you was going to say somebody played on that or she did a feature on that. That's why I was like, girl, make it plain. Help us all out. Up in here, Sparkle is alive. I mean, allegedly. I approve that message. Come on. Let me see. It was years ago that she was It was said years ago that she was Drea's goddaughter, right? If she was R. Kelly's goddaughter, she was Drea's goddaughter. But I guess if being a goddaughter meant that you was going to be getting the boots knocked, I guess she was Drea's goddaughter. Because it came out in the testimony today that she was knocking Drea's boots too. Ooh, Kelz is a bad man with something. Something, the way they painting it. The way they painting it. Let me see here, y'all. Let me skip around up in here and get to the most important parts. She said she thought that he loved me, and he would take care of me, that he would be my protector. And USA goes, and what were your responses to those things that he was saying about being, that he would protect you, that he loved you? I would respond the same way. I love you too. And I would feel good about the level of comfort that he was giving me. So it made me feel good. And you also talked about there was a point where you were willing to bring your friends into the sexual acts and sexual intercourse with Mr. Kelly. Why were you comfortable? I take that back. Why did you do those things? Because I considered myself to be a submissive person and I wanted to give him what he wanted or required. Wait a minute. Were you scared or were you being submissive? Were you intimidated and beaten into submission? Or are you a submissive person and you wanted to give him what he wanted or required sexually? I mean, you can't be, well, maybe you are all these personalities, but that doesn't even sound consistent. And as a juror, I would be like, what? Wait, what? And I can't get over the fact that at 13, 14, 15, or whatever, you're thinking this grown-ass man about to divorce his wife and the children that you're quote-unquote babysitting, and the same wife you knocking the boots with, he gonna divorce all that and marry you? As a juror, I would be like, what the hell? When is this kangaroo court gonna be over? She goes, the AUSA said, what were the ways in which you were encouraged, in which you encouraged your friends again? We're talking about specifically Pinky and Brittany to join you in all those sex acts. Well, it would start off like joking conversations of me having a crush on him or just discussing different interactions that me and him had just to gauge like how they might feel or if they would want to be included. But I thought you approached him alone. I thought he told you to go holler at him and see would they be down. But now you're saying that it started off with all y'all in the same room. So you're lying. When we're talking about Brittany earlier, you mentioned that she was older than you. How much older than you was Brittany? Is Brittany? I believe a year. So when you first engaged in sex acts with was it your testimony that occurred when you were 15? Yes. And so Brittany would have been how old? 16. And can you please explain to the jury that first experience, if you will, with Brittany, how you engaged her into the sex acts with Mr. Kelly? It would just start out with me joking and saying like, oh, I have a crush on him. He's like, I like his music. I like when he says this with the music or that. It was like things that he would have me say that would make them like put something on their minds to be engaged with us. And can you recall the first instance when Brittany, when that first time that happened with Brittany? It was at Chicago Tracks in the lounge at the studio. Okay, if you can recall, can you just describe that interaction? We were all sitting on the couch after a studio session. Watching TV is how we would usually go, or maybe listening to some music that had just got finished up. And then we would start by like him saying, I want to see you do this to Brittany, or I want to see this or that. And that's when the emotions would start, or the interactions would start sexually. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you say he was saying, I want to see you do this or I want to see you do that, what were those things? Can you describe them? Kissing, grabbing on each other's breasts, or like grinding and holding each other by the waist, and like dancing, dance movements. What dance movements that Drea's ass taught you? Mm-hmm. Okay, and would you do those things as he instructed? Yes. Why were you willing to do those things? Again, I was thinking I was in love at the time. Oh, not intimidated? Okay. I was thinking I was in love at the time, and I was being submissive, and I wanted to give him what he wanted, and I didn't want to upset him or make him feel like I wasn't cooperating, so I went along with it. Now, you've mentioned that you had feelings again when you were 14 and 15, but you had feelings for him that you loved him. Is that right? Yes. And what, if anything, or some of the things that he was doing at this time that you were 14 and 15 and 16 that made it seem like you all were in love with one another? Just the time that he would allow me to be around him through certain emotions, or like certain things he would do for me, like if it was my birthday or if anything like I wanted, he just made it seem like it was available to me. So not just like materialistic, more like emotional support with anything that I was going through, whether it was school, my group, my friends. He was just there for me. He was supportive. He was intimidating and he was supportive. Okay. Okay. I'm running through the comments. Okay. I wish Sean Davy Wade was in the house. I sure would love to get his impression when he says, wino, sit your wine glass, because I'm sure sipping. Small Fry said, I don't believe she was 15. She was throwing that thing. I seen it too, Small Fry. I seen the VHS. Girl, what you done said? I saw some moves off a 15-year-old. I was 25, 26. Girl, I'm trying to told you. If Kelz taught her all that, as this girl testified, Kelz is one hell of a teacher. Okay? And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but damn it, this story, something ain't adding up. All right. What about the events? Did he attend any events that you were participating in? She goes, yeah, he would come to group events, basketball. I don't hear about all that crap. Yeah, so he came to some social stuff. So you got to show him off, and people who knew that he was R. Kelly, you got to be able to beam with pride that, oh, look, Kelz is here. He knows them. Okay. He would just show up and be supportive. It looked really cool from my friend's perspective that I had this celebrity showing up for me. So it was more like that. It made me feel good, excited. Okay, so Bonjean throws in a couple of objections. The AUSA comes through talking about during the time frame you were 14, 15, 16, did Kelz buy you any gifts? Or things like that. She goes, he bought me jewelry. He brought me a PT Cruiser. She goes, and again, just during the time period when you were 14, 15, 16. She goes, you said jewelry. She goes, yes. What did he buy you? He brought me a cross necklace. Okay. And how old were you when he brought you that cross necklace time frame? 17 or 18? Okay. I feel like anything over 17, y'all can just stop all that. Okay. Don't y'all think, especially with all these damn lies, just stop everything. Stop talking about it. All right. Okay. And then you mentioned a car. Yes. So evidently Kelz brought her a car. She goes, where were you when he purchased this car? Florida. What type of car was it? A black PT Cruiser. You said you were in Florida. Yes. How did the car come back to Illinois? She goes, how? Did the car come back to Illinois with you at some point? Yes. Do you recall how it got back here? I'm not exactly sure. Wait a minute. Who gets a new car in a whole nother damn state and you don't remember how the car got back? I'm not exactly sure. Okay. What did you tell your friends about the car? I told them my godfather brought me a car and that I was excited to take them for a ride, and that was pretty much it. Were you allowed to? Okay, see, why is the prosecutor not asking her, okay, I want you to think for a minute. How did the car get back? So y'all, who do y'all think drove the car back? Somebody she does not wish to implicate. That's why the prosecutor didn't delve and ask that follow-up question. And that's why she didn't offer it. I don't remember. I don't remember. Who doesn't remember their first damn car? Oh, man. Oh, my God. I'm just going to click the comments. Oh, I can't believe this. Can y'all believe? Of course, Bonjean says, objection to the foundation of that question. Allowed by whom? Says were you allowed to tell people about the car? That's what the AUSA asked. Bonjean wants to know allowed by whom. The question is, what, if anything, did Mr. Kelly tell you about who you could share the car with? Bonjean said, objection, the car or the information about the car? The judge said, I don't see the basis of this objection. You can clarify it if you wish. Go ahead. So the AUSA says, what, if anything, did Mr. Kelly say that you could tell people about the car? Just to only share with my close friends and family, and that I was not allowed to have any guys in the car. You mentioned a necklace that Kelz purchased for you. How old were you? 17 or 18? Yes, about 17 or 18. Did you already have a cross necklace? Yes. Who gave you the cross necklace that you already had when Mr. Kelly gave you the second necklace? My parents. When did they give that to you? When did they give you that necklace? I was about 13. Okay. Isn't there a cross necklace in question? Were your parents with you when Mr. Kelly purchased the PT Cruiser for you? Yes. Did they question why he purchased this car for you? No. They didn't question it. They were excited for me. Y'all, if this ain't no skit in the game. During this time period, when you were engaging in sex acts and sexual intercourse with Mr. Kelly, so you're 14, 15, 16, that's the time period we're talking about right now. Who, if anyone, did you tell that you were engaging in these sex acts and sexual intercourse? No one besides Brittany and Pinky. And why is that? Because I was told to keep it a secret, not to share it with anyone. Now, who told you to keep it a secret and not share it with anyone? Robert. When did he tell you this? As soon as we became involved sexually. So was this around the time you were having phone sex? So you were 14? Bone Jean said, I'm going to, and Jane goes, yes. Bone Jean said, object to the leading. How about when did that happen? That's the appropriate question, not the leading. And the Judge Harry, he goes, yes, it's leading. So go ahead. Yes, Your Honor. So she rephrases the question. When did this happen? When he first instructed you not to tell anyone? When I was about 13 or 14 and we became sexual. Okay, you say we became sexual. This prosecutor's getting on my fucking nerve. I'm sorry. Sorry for the cuss word, child. She's getting on my nerves with it, though. Okay, quit asking the same damn question. The jury has heard it. You're making it worse for the girl. Because every time you ask her, was you having phone sex? The mama never came in and said, get off that damn phone. The daddy never said, get your ass off the phone. People wasn't trying to call, do that call waiting. Tell my girl, should I keep calling to voicemail? Come on now, stop all this. And this prosecutor must think everybody's a damn idiot. All of this was crazy. Wow, Andrea shaking my damn head. Y'all, come on, child. Woo, child. In the words of one pap, Leslie Jennings said, wait, 14-year-olds get a car, mom and pop were excited only? I mean, and they said, what did your mom and them say? Nothing. They were just excited. Come on. And they didn't ask you, and you want reasonable people to believe that? I mean, if you want the lie to be good, at least say they were just so happy that the king of R&B, Mr. Bump and Grind himself, bought me a car. Because if I recall correctly, the father, R.I.P., didn't start working for Kelz until the tape came out. So up until this time, the parents had jobs, which makes me think that it was okay that the relationship existed. That's what it makes me think. And that's a reasonable thought. I mean, how else can you explain it? And then you can't, they tried to come with the cover up and say, oh, he intimidated us. He scared us. He was a thug. But you just said you was in love with him. You wanted to marry him. You was screwing his wife. And you were still intimidated, but only by Kelz. Stop it. Let me skip around up and through here. Let me see. Because here's what I'm really trying to get to. This woman can quit asking about the sex. She can just stop asking about it. She need a weekend, this AUSA. She need a whole damn weekend. All these damn deep ass questions. And so then, shut up, AUSA. Oh, let me see. She goes, okay. The question was, what did you want to share with your friends when you were 14, 15, 16 about the sexual relationship of Mr. Kelly? I more so wanted to share the relationship because I was excited. I thought you were intimidated. Please make up your mind. Please. Because I was excited. Again, I thought I loved this person and it was exciting, but a secret. So there were times other than Brittany or Pinky that I was close to people that I would have liked to share what was happening between us, but I didn't feel comfortable doing that because I was told to keep it a secret. Who told you to keep it a secret? How many people told you to keep it a secret? Because maybe you were told to keep it a secret, but maybe not by the people you're telling us. You say Kelz told you to keep it a secret. Did anyone else ask you to keep it a secret? Kelz told you to keep it a secret, but Drea didn't? Just want to know. And you said that you were scared, and that's where he had stopped before the judge. Bone Jean said, I'm about to object. This is leading. Court said objection. She answered the question. Let's move on. Come on, Judge Harry, acting like you're paying attention right now. So the AUSA said, all right, let's move to when Mr. Kelly and you were engaged in sexual, oh, damn. When you were engaged in sexual acts and sexual intercourse again. That time frame, where that shifted from 14 to 15 years old. Did Mr. Kelly ever record you two engage in sexual activity? Yes. And when did that start? When I was 14. Do you recall the first time he recorded the two of you engaged in sex acts? Not the first time, but I recall around that time, the time it started happening, yes. Okay. How were the recordings made? What equipment was being used to make the recordings? There was lighting, camcorders. How did you feel about being recorded? I felt uncomfortable. Okay. You felt, who said that? K baby? Or was that, who is that? Or was that Small Fry? Did she look uncomfortable? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. She didn't look uncomfortable with that. Why did you go along and do it if you felt uncomfortable? Because again, he was an authoritative figure over me, and I didn't feel comfortable telling him no, or I didn't want to look awkward for engaging and not participating. So I just went with the flow of whatever he said to do. So you didn't want to look awkward, but when a grown man is asking you for the first time if you're wearing any panties or what kind of panties are you wearing, and none of that made you feel awkward, asking you to do a threesome presented no level of awkwardness. Okay. Let me scoot around in here because I just came with this. That's probably good I'm not on the jury. Oh man, let me see. Oh, Lord. Here's one of the key points I'm trying to get to. Because I think by now we've established that this girl, it doesn't appear like there was emotional distress. And based on what came out in testimony today, if you were screwing Jerry too, okay, and everything we've read in here, baby, it was none of that. And I'm trying to get to these parents right here now. So let me scroll down here. This is 103 pages. And it's just like and then you had sex there. And then when he had sex, did he? And what, because he wearing cologne? And she didn't ask that, but damn, she might as well had. Let me see something here. She asked another question. And can you describe generally the types of sex acts that you two are engaged in? Ladies, shut the hell up. You're already getting ready to show a videotape. You've already put the stuff out in mainstream media for the last 25 years. You don't got to keep asking this. But she asked that question, and her response is, he was laying down and I was on top of him and he was putting lotion on my face. All right. Let me keep going. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. Here's the part I wanted to get to. Because remember they were saying that there's video where Kelz is supposed to be talking about stating the girl's age in the video. And so I think I just ran up on it right here in this. Let me see. It says, during the video, if any, what statements did you make about your age and your body parts? I was referring to my body parts with my age as 14-year-old breasts, etc. Why were you doing that? Because he asked me to. Were you indeed 14 years old at the time? Yes. Turning to video 3, did you know that the sexual encounter was being recorded at the time? Yes. She goes, how'd you know that? Because I saw the videotape of the camcorder. I felt uncomfortable because she asked her, how'd you feel about the recording? Felt uncomfortable. I'm trying to get to the, okay. How are you feeling about this at this point from where you were 14 years old and you were being recorded in the sex act? That's when I began to love him. So I felt as if I was in a relationship and these were normal things to happen. That's what you felt, but you never confided with anyone, even your auntie, if any of this was normal. If waiting in the wings and screwing his wife and waiting on him to divorce his wife to marry you, All of that seemed normal. That's why I don't believe none of that. If you go that far, I don't believe none of this innocent role you're trying to present. Now, I'm sorry, but I just, it's unbelievable. Let me keep on scrolling because I have lost patience with this crap. I want to get to the parents. Hold on, y'all. I have just lost total patience with this. Man, this is unbelievable. Good thing Bongine is on the case for this one. And if any of this was part of the 2008 testimony, which unfortunately I don't have those transcripts, I wonder if the same line of questioning was in there. Because, well, I guess not, because she didn't testify. Remember? Oh, hold on, y'all. I'm scrolling down here to this. Okay. Let me scroll up. Right, I think I found it. Oh, man. Trying to get to the part where it says that the parents came up and they found out. Okay, they're talking about this meeting. And hold on, y'all. I appreciate y'all patience. Okay, we're almost there. So how old were you during that time? Okay. Okay, let me see. Right over here by where? Let me see. He's directly in front of me with a burgundy tie. Okay, who's she identified? Okay, here she goes she's about to identify Milton Brown. And let me summarize this for you because it's just out of control. Something about this tape says, okay, so DCF, Department of Children and Family Services, had reached out to him. That's what we get into. And she goes, okay, so April 2000, you were 15 years old. What was your response to the questioning from dcfs about their allegations? She goes, I denied it. Why did you deny it? I was afraid that something bad would happen to Robert. He really instilled that in me. If anybody found out about the nature of our relationship, that things could be really bad for him. And I wanted to protect him. So I did everything I could to keep the secret. That might have been her. That's what she's saying. But why would the parents deny it? Why would the parents deny this? So just to be clear, you were untruthful when DCFS contacted you. Yes. And you testified that you wanted to protect him. Yes. Why did you want to protect him? Well, again, I did look up to him. I didn't want to see anything bad happen to him. And at this point, with the way things were happening between us, I was also afraid. Afraid of what? I didn't want to upset him. I didn't want to trigger anything. I didn't want to expose what was happening between us. Did you want to keep your relationship intact? I did. Now, at this time, again, in April 2000, you were 15. Did you tell your parents about what was happening between you and Rob? No. Why? Because that was something I would take to my grave. I was not going to reveal that to anybody after many conversations of him drilling how important it was that he would be in big trouble if anybody found out about this. So I looked at as I was protecting him. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Did you feel comfortable telling your parents that you were engaging in sexual activity with Robert Kelly at the time? No. Why? Because I knew it was something they wouldn't approve of. Oh, they wouldn't approve. Okay. You weren't scared? You did, huh? Okay. So you didn't tell them because you were too afraid to tell them. You knew they would not approve. Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay. Under oath. Now, after that, you were approached and questioned by DCFS. You were later questioned by Chicago Police Department, correct? Yes. And what were they asking you about? Robert and I's relationship. Have we had any sexual contact with each other? What was your response? I said no. Why did you respond that way? Again, it was embedded in me that this could never come out, and I didn't want my parents to find out either, so I was doing everything I could to keep it a secret. You can't be a victim, and here's a popo have pulled up. They've come to save the day. Not just the popo, but DCSF. And Come on. It's just too much. Seems like different sex acts have designated length of jail time according to the AUSA. Absolutely, Leslie, absolutely. And that's why she keeps trying to hammer on them. But then, should it really, if 17 was the age and she was 17, they need to just stop it. Ooh, Chi-Town's finest, I'm not lying. You must be talking about that video, and you is not lying, small fry. She was working it out. I thought she was 15 and a virgin. Well, she gets to blame the quality, because she was working it. I ain't gonna lie. She was working it. But see, she gets to say, Kelz taught me. The Pied Piper taught me. Okay. I ain't making that up. It's in the testimony. Did Andrea sleep with Rashana Landfair? Jason, that's what came out evidently in the testimony today. All that time, Drea claimed she was in the bedroom hog-tied. Y'all, I love all of y'all. You know what? Y'all is giving me life right now. Y'all is not lying. Y'all ain't lying all the time with all them damn tears on all those. You know what? Y'all, we need to be posting links on all those podcast episodes that Drea went on lying, talking about, I was abused and I was this and I was that. What? Or maybe you was just mad like your girl was mad because he found somebody else to have sex with outside of you. Come on now. Y'all do like Alan Brown and say, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Replay Gang, leave a comment because you know I want to hear from you. All right. So you had all this opportunity to tell CPD that what was going down, but you didn't want to. She goes, so did you tell Mr. Kelly about CPD questioning you? Yes. What was his response? He was just asking what type of questions they were asking me how did I answer the questions. He was telling me I did a good job and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we're talking about the time when CPD was questioning you. This was sometime after you had turned 15. How did you feel about Kelz at the time? Can you repeat the question for me one more time? How did you feel, girl? That's what we want to know. I cared for him. Emotionally, I cared for him. So around this time, again, I'll direct your attention to another allegation. And that allegation says that when she was 16, let me get down to what she's talking about. What, if anything, did you... Okay. And so late 2001, early 2002, during that time frame, when you were 17 years old, what, if anything, did you learn from what, if anything, did you learn about allegations from Stephanie, your aunt, that there was a sex tape leaked that was including Robert and I? That was including who? Robert and I. So at this time again, late 2001, 2002, did you see this recording? Did you know what it was? I heard things about it, but I never saw it. What, if anything, did you learn about this tape from Stephanie? That it had been made public and that there was sexual engagement between Robert and I on the tape, and that was pretty much it. So at this point, did you discuss this with any of your family members? No. Did you discuss the existence, or that there was rumors that this tape had surfaced? Did you talk to any of your family members about it? No. Did your parents question you about it? Yes. And what, if anything, did they say? They were asking me if this was true. They were asking me what was about the nature of Robert and I's relationship, and I denied everything. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part, what the AUSA said. They were asking me if the tape did include us, and they were inquiring about the nature of Robert and I's relationship, and of course I denied everything. Why do you say you denied everything? Of course I denied everything. Why? Because it was instilled in me not to admit that to anybody, and that's exactly what I did. So by this time at 17, if you're still holding on to that secret, you at least at this point been screwing Drea. Okay? You're screwing Drea. So finish the whole sentence. You didn't want it coming out, and you didn't want to also have to discuss that you and Drea was getting in it. This is crazy as hell. I'm sorry. Instilled by whom? Robert instilled that in me. Okay. Oh my God, y'all. So then the AUSA said, So what was your reaction to hearing the news or rumors that this videotape had surfaced that possibly showed you and Kelz engaged in sex acts? I was extremely scared. Why were you scared? Of the possibility that it was true. I was scared that my parents were going to find out about our relationship, and I was also afraid what would happen to him. Okay. He was just continuing. She said, did you talk to Kelz about it? They said they continued to stress how important it was to keep it a secret about the relationship, that that she had to be very firm and confident when speaking to people about it, and continued to deny. She probably was told these things, but probably not from Kelz. Drea, now that we know Drea had something to lose, okay, now that we know the full level of participation that Drea really had, now that we know based on this testimony how Kelz became this girl's godfather, there's probably more people than Kelz telling you why this secret was so essential to be kept, okay? But y'all trying to put it on Kelz only. Nothing nice in the house. Shout out to you. Thanks for pulling up. Shout out to all y'all. Y'all up in here with me. I appreciate y'all. Ooh. Now you scared. Now you scared. Girl, get off my sand, would you, with the quickness, okay? Get on up out of here. Lord, sparkle a lie. Jason Finch, that's the comment of the day. That's the comment of the day. Whew. Let me see here. Hold on. Okay. What was his reaction? What was his reaction to the news that there may be a tape that others had showed you and Mr. Kelly engaging in sex? He seemed afraid as well. I'm sorry. He seemed afraid or concerned. All right. So early in 2002, did you have a conversation in person with Kelz about these allegations that there was a tape out there showing the two of you engaged in sex acts? Yes. Who was involved in that meeting? It was my mom and dad and Robert and myself. And who set up this meeting, if you know? Darrell. And of course, Darrell's lawyer comes in talking about objection. I'm about to skip all that part because we already know that he's going to do what he can. Darrell's attorney's going to, but we talking about this. We trying to dismantle this girl's lies. She goes, how do you know that Darrell set this meeting up? Through conversation that Robert and I had prior to this, and just knowing that he was involved in the game plan that was about to take place as far as the approach. Okay, we're going to talk about the approach and where did this meeting take place. It was at a hotel in Oak Park. And you said that Darrell set this up? Yes. Do you know his last name? McDavid. Now she wants him to identify Darrell. Okay, Darrell's attorney jumps up, whatever. So she says, so prior to this meeting in Oak Park that you were talking about, how did you feel about, what were your feelings going into that meeting? I was extremely scared. Why were you scared? Because my parents were going to finally find out that I had been engaging in sexual activity with Robert. By now, you already had the car. By now, the parents observed him buy a car for you in Florida and make some secretive arrangements that you can't remember to get the car back to Florida. Okay. And by now, at this time, the parents are still not employed with R. Kelly. Okay. So she goes, because my parents are finally going to find out that I had been engaging in sexual activity with Robert. Why did you have the impression that your parents were going to find out about this meeting? Because in a prior conversation that Robert and I had, he finally admitted to me that it was true, that there was a leaked tape between us and it was about to become legal. So he needed to let my parents know to get them on board with further approaches. That don't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That don't make sense. I don't get that. I don't get it. Okay, so let's back up. He said that was about to become legal. Is that what you said? Yes. What did you understand that to mean? Well, I knew that they were planning on turning the tape over to the authorities. And, the question is, how long did they have the tape and chop it up and cut it up before it finally got to the authorities? Okay. Who was? Stephanie or whomever had possession of the tape. Okay, so when you said that things were going to get legal, what does that mean to you? He just basically explained to me that things were about to go to the next level as far as the authorities becoming involved. So I needed to let my parents know that we did have a sexual relationship because they were going to find out, confirmed through the authorities. Okay. Y'all, I mean, shit, we are 2 hours in and we haven't even got to the parents. Oh, I don't know, y'all. I think I need to come back with a part 2. I'm going to tell you what. Unless somebody want to come up in here, ain't nobody say I dropped the link, and that's all right with me. But tomorrow's testimony, or today's testimony, is going to come out tomorrow. That's where Bonjean actually gets all the way into it. I don't know. I might have to come up very early in the morning just to really finish this damn transcript up, because this ain't no... Yeah, hog-tied. She was eating that thing. Now, she damn sure ate that performance, okay? In the words of Armand Wiggins, when he was talking about Storm Monroe. Talking about Storm Monroe ate that, the dish rag comment. This girl ate that videotape, okay? She ate that shit, okay? I mean, yeah. Not to be disrespectful, she was allegedly 14 or 15 years of age and taking a seasoned man's... Oh. Nothing nice, and no, you didn't. Well, maybe it really wasn't her, because remember, she already said it wasn't her. She said it wasn't her on multiple occasions. So for the one that it wasn't her, whoever it was on the videotape was knocking the hell out of some boots. Let me put it that way. That way, we're not, it just makes it so hard to try to be compassionate towards a quote-unquote victim with all of this extra. Now, with coming to find out now that you were screwing Drea too. Where's the anger for Drea at? Where's the anger for Van Allen? Because now we know Van Allen was of legal age when she consented in this threesome with this girl. Where's that anger at? How come y'all ain't mad? If somehow you only want to be mad at R. Kelly. There's something wrong with that. And you don't want to hold nobody responsible. Okay. Now you scared. Yeah. Let me run through these comments real quick. DJ Cadillac in the house. When the tape was floating around in the 90s, folks who saw it were only outraged at the PP. Because I think, DJ Cadillac, because it did not look like a 13 or 14-year-old. That's why. That's why they weren't outraged at anything else than that. It did not look like a child. And they showed the tapes. They showed some of the tapes in the trial today. I wonder how the jury is looking at that, especially if any of them ever watch pornography, in their own relationships. And if it's any women, there's just some white women on the damn thing. If they look at that tape and say, this don't look like no child. And let me be quiet. Help me, Lord. Help me, Jesus. Help me. Oh, let me run through here. It said, Drea, Lisa, and Sparkle do not deserve immunity. Ain't that the truth? Yes, leave the parents for tomorrow. Okay. Jay Boop, see, girl, see, you own it, girl. See, you own it. Y'all do like Adam Brown is saying. Do like she say. Be sure to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Y'all see that ticker? Y'all see the ticker? Make it rain in the Cash App, because myself and... Let me get to it real quick. Where's that picture at? Just Jazz Only YouTube channel. We have teamed up, y'all. We are trying to just take donations, receive donations, so we can continue to obtain these transcripts. And, I'm going to say a little something real quick if y'all don't mind. Listen, because it's some of you in the chat have made some Cash App donations. I'm thanking y'all. And what I appreciate is the fact that y'all are giving what y'all are comfortable with, the fact that y'all just willing to give it all. Now, when me and Jess first came out with this collab, we were like, hey, if you're a content creator, hey, drop it and we will share, the transcript script with you. Now, here's the thing. And I thought, some of the content creators, I thought that there was some clarity, but maybe we didn't say it right. Maybe we just said it the wrong way. If you're a content creator and y'all want these transcripts and y'all know how expensive the transcripts are, especially this, y'all know if y'all send a $2, $3, $4, $5 donation, y'all know we can't do a whole lot with that. Now, if you're a content creator and you balling out of control and you got 800 people, 1,500 people in your chat every night, and y'all want to just look out for me and Just Jazz because neither one of us are monetized and, y'all are bigger than us and y'all just want to help us along a little bit, then yeah, we'll accept that. But, y'all trying to hit a lick? Y'all send a little $5, $10 donation talking about, yeah, send me all the transcripts. Come on, y'all. Now, come on. So there is a difference. If you're a subscriber or a visitor to my channel or Just Jazz channel, and y'all want to support us to get these transcripts, and you send $10 or $7 or $11 or $20 or however much you feel comfortable donating, and you're just saying, look, just to keep y'all moving forward, we thank you immensely. But if you're a content creator, come on, y'all. We may not have the number of subscribers you guys have now, but we ain't stupid, okay? We not stupid. So if you're a content creator and you want to get in on this, get in on it. Because me and Just Jazz, along with the contributors, hey, we getting it done. And if y'all want some of this, pull up. So Just Jazz Cash App, if you feel more comfortable donating to her, you can. Her Cash App is right above her beautiful face on this photo. If you feel more comfortable donating to me through the Cash App, my Cash App is running right through that ticker. And the beautiful mods are putting the Cash App in the chat. So help us out, y'all. Help us out. If you're a content creator, come on, y'all. Come on now. Come on. Now, come on. Yeah. Don't play with us now. We ain't no lick to hit. Okay? We don't get down like that. Don't do that. All right, Small Fry, let me get on here. I am going to take your advice, Jay Boopsy, and save the parents for tomorrow. Taking it. I was like, be quiet. Taking it. Ooh, thank you, Small Fry. Small Fry said, I approve that comment. That minor was getting it in. I am going to save the parents until tomorrow, y'all, because it's deep and it's really nothing to rush through. So I might be on YouTube all day tomorrow. I just don't like those super long lives, but I appreciate y'all being in this one with me tonight. But yeah, there's more to cover. And then as soon as today's testimony comes in, because I want to get into what Bonjean's saying. So if I get up before these, when I get up in the morning and these grandbabies are still asleep, I'm going live. And then y'all can just hit the replay if you're up with me at that time. So any last questions, comments, or concerns? Anybody? Shoot. All right. Let me see. Check the comments one more good again. All right. Well, y'all, then that's it. That is the podcast. I just really want to thank y'all for pulling up with me. I appreciate y'all so much. Be sure to hit that like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. And until next time, y'all, we will see ya. When we see ya. Welcome to the Only Male Cruise Show, the podcast. I am the Only Male Cruise. Be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, replay gang, leave a comment. You know I want to hear from you. Copyright disclaimer regarding fair use is in full effect. The views and opinions expressed in this show, you guessed it, they're all mine. Let's go to work.